My husband and I were celebrating our anniversary at an upscale restaurant. I stepped away to the bathroom for a moment, and suddenly a woman approached me. "Don't drink the wine," she said. "Your husband put something in it." I thought it was just a silly joke, but even so I decided to switch the glasses around, yet within 15 minutes. Before we continue, if you're finding this story as gripping as I felt living it, could you quickly tell me in the comments which country you're watching from? I'd love to know where you're joining us from. Let's continue. Olga smoothed out her night sky-colored silk dress. Today was a special day, the 10th anniversary of her marriage to Igor. 10 years, an entire era filled, it seemed to her, with happiness and prosperity. They had chosen the most expensive restaurant in the city for their celebration, offering panoramic views of the twinkling city lights. Igor, as always, was impeccable. A stylish suit, an expensive cologne, a charming smile. But something, subtly, had changed in him lately. A cold, distant look had settled in his eyes, as if he were no longer truly there with her. The restaurant buzzed with conversations, the clinking of cutlery, and the soft strains of discreet music. The waiter brought their favorite bottle of wine. Igor nodded, and with practiced ease, the waiter uncorked the bottle. After filling their glasses, he withdrew politely. "To us, my love," Igor said, raising his glass. His voice sounded a little strained, almost artificial. Olga smiled in response and clinked her glass with his. The wine was exquisite, as always. Yet something continued to gnaw at her, a feeling like a fine needle of ice piercing her heart. She attributed it to fatigue, the relentless pace of their lives. And hey, if you've ever felt that tiny voice inside you trying to warn you, never ignore it. Trusting your intuition might just save your life one day. Keep watching, because Olga's story is just beginning. She ran her own consulting firm, which demanded much of her time and energy. Igor was also a successful businessman, specializing in investments. They seemed like the perfect couple, beautiful, wealthy, successful. But behind that shining facade, Olga sensed something rotten lurking. After several toasts and a variety of dishes, Olga felt the need to freshen up. "I'm going to the ladies' room," she told Igor, rising from the table. Igor nodded without lifting his eyes from his phone. That gesture, that inattentiveness, wounded Olga. He used to follow her with his gaze, hold her hand, care for her. Now, he seemed like a stranger. In the powder room, adorned with marble and mirrors, there were few people. Olga splashed cold water on her face, trying to quell the sudden nausea that had seized her. She looked at her reflection, a tired face, shadows under her eyes. "I need more rest," she thought. As she was about to leave, an unknown woman suddenly approached her. She was dressed simply but elegantly, and a look of concern flickered in her eyes. "Excuse me," the woman said quietly, glancing around nervously. "I must warn you, be careful with your husband." Olga froze, unable to comprehend what was happening. "What are you talking about?" she asked, a chill running down her spine. "I saw him put something in your wine," the woman whispered. "I don't know what it was, but it looked suspicious. Please, be careful." With that, the woman quickly exited the ladies' room, leaving Olga stunned. She stood there, thunderstruck, trying to absorb what she had just heard. How absurd! Igor, putting something in her wine? Impossible! But why then had that woman insisted so urgently? Why had there been such genuine fear in her eyes? Have you ever had a moment where your world tilted on its axis and you suddenly saw reality differently? Let me know below if this story is resonating with you. It helps me bring you more content that really speaks to your heart. Olga returned to the table, feeling a storm of conflicting emotions boiling inside her. Igor sat there, still engrossed in his phone. The wine glasses sat innocently on the table. She stared at them, and suddenly an idea struck her. "What's wrong?" Igor asked, looking up at her. "Nothing, I'm fine," Olga replied, trying to sound as casual as possible. "Just a slight headache." She sat down, avoiding Igor's eyes. She needed time to understand what was happening. She decided to pretend she knew nothing and watch. "I think I'll have a little more wine," she said, reaching for her glass. Igor smiled. "Good choice. Wine is the best medicine for any illness." Olga pretended to reach for her glass, but at the last moment, without Igor noticing, she swapped their glasses. She picked up his, placing hers before him. It was risky, but she had to be sure. Trusting a stranger over the man she loved felt like treason itself, but she had no choice. They continued their evening, chatting about trivial matters. Olga watched Igor closely, not wanting to miss a single detail. He seemed perfectly calm and relaxed, yet something in his behavior betrayed a hidden tension. He checked his watch too often and nervously fiddled with his napkin. Suddenly, Igor turned pale. He clutched his head and groaned. "What's wrong?" Olga asked, alarmed. "I feel terrible," Igor grunted. "Really terrible." He began to slump to one side, losing consciousness. Olga leapt from her seat and called for help. Waiters rushed over immediately and summoned an ambulance. The ambulance arrived quickly. The paramedics examined Igor and decided he needed to be hospitalized urgently. "What's happening to him?" Olga asked the doctor. "It appears to be poisoning," the doctor replied. "We must get him to the hospital immediately." A chill swept through Olga. Could it be true? Had Igor truly intended to poison her? "And stay with me, because soon I'll share with you something truly extraordinary, a natural way your body can start to work for you, almost like uncovering a hidden power you didn't know you had. It's something you'll find linked right in the description below. But first, let's continue with Olga's story. She accompanied him to the hospital. While the doctors fought to save his life, Olga sat in the hallway, feeling utterly empty. Her whole world had collapsed in an instant. The man she loved, the man she trusted, had turned out to be a traitor. Later, after Igor was admitted to the ICU, a detective approached Olga. "We need to ask you a few questions," he said. Olga told him everything she knew, the strange warning from the unknown woman, her suspicions, the sudden deterioration in Igor's condition. The investigator listened carefully and promised a thorough investigation. That night, sitting on the hard hospital couch, she couldn't sleep. Her mind raced with chaotic thoughts. She replayed every moment of their life together. Now all of it seemed fake, a charade. She felt deceived, betrayed, used. Suddenly her phone rang, an unknown number. "Hello," Olga answered. "This is Mark," said a hoarse male voice. "I'm Igor's former business partner. I have something to tell you." Olga froze. Mark? She had heard of him, but never met him in person. "What do you want to talk about?" she asked. "About your husband," Mark said grimly, "and about his dark dealings." A flicker of hope stirred in Olga's heart. Maybe Mark could help her understand what was happening, reveal the truth about Igor. "I'm ready to meet with you," she said. "When and where?" "I'll call you tomorrow at noon," Mark replied. "Goodbye." Olga hung up, feeling a fierce determination rising inside her. She would not be deceived anymore. She would uncover the truth, no matter the cost. She would have her revenge for the betrayal, the lies, the life he had tried to destroy. She would become strong. She would survive. If you've ever faced a turning point where you realized you had to reclaim your power, even when it hurt, drop a flexed biceps in the comments. Your story matters too. Now let's move forward. The hospital corridors were silent, broken only by the soft hum of medical equipment. Olga sat in an uncomfortable plastic chair, gripping the armrests. Her head buzzed like a disturbed beehive. 10 years. 10 years she had believed, loved, built a life. And it had all been a lie. A potent sedative was found in your husband's blood, the doctor informed her. A substance prohibited for public use. The dose greatly exceeded therapeutic levels. His condition is stable, but the long-term consequences are unpredictable. We need to determine how the substance entered his system. Olga nodded, feeling a cold hardness settle inside her. She already knew the answer but could not yet say it aloud. Betrayal, like an icy dagger, lodged itself deeper into her heart. Returning home, she felt uneasy. The apartment, which had seemed so cozy and safe just yesterday, now pressed in on her with walls soaked in lies and deceit. She moved mechanically toward the wine cabinet, where there was still an unfinished bottle of wine they had opened before going to the restaurant. Her throat was dry. Suddenly, her phone rang again. Another unknown number. "Olga!" A rough male voice said urgently. "It's Mark. We agreed to meet." Mark's voice snapped her back to reality. She remembered his offer to reveal the truth about Igor. Now, more than ever, she needed that truth. "Yes, Mark," she said, forcing herself to sound calm. "I remember. Where can we meet?" "I'll send you the address, but be careful. Igor is a dangerous man." They agreed to meet at a small cafe on the outskirts of town. Mark turned out to be a middle-aged man with a piercing gaze and a tired face. He got straight to the point. "Igor is up to his neck in debt," he began, lowering his voice. "He gambled on the stock market and lost. The creditors are breathing down his neck. The only way for him to pay them off is to seize your assets." Olga listened, barely breathing. Everything was beginning to form a horrifying picture. "He was planning to have you declared legally incompetent," Mark continued. "I have information that he already gathered the necessary documents and even bribed some doctors." Olga felt the world crumble around her. "Incompetent," she whispered, feeling nausea rise within her. He had wanted to strip her of her freedom, her dignity, her future. Mark pulled out some photos and documents from his briefcase. "Here, look. Here's the medical report stating you have progressive dementia. It's all lies." Olga's hands trembled as she took the papers. The lines on them described a stranger, an image of herself as a sick, helpless woman. Fury and despair battled inside her. "How could he?" she whispered. "He thought you wouldn't suspect anything," Mark replied. "He's a master manipulator. He knows how to earn trust. You know, sometimes the people we trust the most hide the darkest intentions. That's why it's so important to be vigilant about your well-being, physical, mental, and emotional. And in just a moment, I'll tell you about something incredible that could naturally boost your vitality in ways you might not expect. Stay tuned." Mark went on to tell her about the shell companies Igor used to launder money, about his shady connections. He even provided copies of documents that corroborated his story. "Why are you helping me?" Olga asked, staring at him in disbelief. "Igor betrayed me too," Mark said bitterly. "He stole my business, left me with nothing. I want him to pay for what he's done, and I don't want you to be his next victim." After meeting with Mark, Olga went straight to a lawyer. She told him everything she had learned, showed him the photographs and documents. After carefully reviewing everything, the lawyer confirmed her worst fears. "The documents to have you declared incompetent are real," he said grimly. "Moreover, Igor has already initiated guardianship proceedings against you. If we don't act fast, he has a strong chance of winning." Olga felt the ground give way beneath her. She had fallen into a trap set by the very person she had loved most. "What should I do?" she asked, feeling completely powerless. "We have to act quickly. the lawyer said. "We need to gather evidence of his fraud and file a counterclaim, and, of course, report him to the authorities." At that moment, there was a knock at the door. The lawyer excused himself and left the room. A few minutes later, he returned, looking troubled. "You have a visitor," he said. "She claims to have important information for you." Svetlana entered the office, the same woman who had warned her at the restaurant. Olga recognized her immediately. "I know you didn't believe me at first," Svetlana began, "but I had to warn you. I work as a waitress at that restaurant. I saw your husband put something in your drink. I don't know what it was, but it looked suspicious." Olga stared at her, barely believing her ears. Another confirmation of betrayal, another stab in the back. "Why did you tell me?" she asked. "I couldn't stay silent," Svetlana answered. "I saw the way he looked at you. There was no love in his eyes, only calculation. I couldn't let anything happen to you." Svetlana agreed to testify to the police. Her statement became a crucial piece of evidence against Igor. Olga felt a new strength awakening within her. The pain and despair were gradually giving way to determination. She was no longer a victim. She was a fighter, ready to defend her freedom and seek justice. She would press charges against Igor. She would divorce him. She would take back her life. And just like Olga found her strength to fight for her future, you too deserve to feel your best. Strong, energetic, unstoppable. If you're curious about a natural, groundbreaking way to transform your energy and metabolism effortlessly, don't forget, the secret is waiting for you in the description below. Keep listening, because Olga's victory is just around the corner. Olga left the lawyer's office with her head held high. A difficult battle awaited her, but she was ready. She was no longer afraid. She knew the truth was on her side, and she would win. The investigation moved swiftly. Olga, summoning every ounce of strength she had left, went to the police station. Investigator Rogova, a woman with a piercing gaze and a firm grip, received her in an office crowded with folders and documents. "Olga Viktorovna, please have a seat," Rogova said, pointing to a chair. "Thank you for coming. Your cooperation is very important to us." Olga sat down, feeling her knees tremble. She tried to hold herself together, hiding her inner turmoil. "I'm ready to tell you everything I know," she said firmly. Rogova listened intently without interrupting as Olga recounted the events of the past few days, from their anniversary celebration to Mark's revelations and Svetlana's testimony. She described in detail her suspicions, the switching of the wine glasses, and Igor's subsequent collapse. "We have reasons to believe Igor Vladimirovich intended to commit a crime against you," Rogova said, after Olga finished her story. "We have already retrieved the medical documents provided by Mark and started examining Igor's financial operations." "Will Igor be arrested?" Olga asked, a tremor of hope mingling with anxiety in her voice. "If the evidence we've gathered is sufficient, we will issue an arrest warrant immediately," Rogova assured her. "But we need your help. You must file for divorce and provide us with all documents proving your property rights. This will help prevent any attempt by Igor to seize your assets." Olga nodded. She understood that it had to be done. Divorce wasn't just a way to sever ties with a traitor, it was also a means to protect herself and her future. That same day, Olga visited her lawyer and filed for divorce. The process was officially underway. She felt hollow inside, but at the same time fiercely determined to fight for her freedom. Meanwhile, Mark, Igor's former partner, kept his promise. He handed over to investigators compromising documents that implicated Igor in financial fraud and document forgery. Among the materials were copies of bank transfers to shell companies, fake medical certificates, and even drafts of applications intended to declare Olga legally incompetent. I've waited a long time for this moment, Mark admitted to Investigator Rogova during his deposition. Igor destroyed my business and my life. I'm glad I can help Olga restore justice. Security camera footage from the restaurant was reviewed. Fortunately, the moment when Igor tampered with Olga's drink had been caught on video. This became another damning piece of evidence against him. The very next day, Igor was arrested. He was charged with attempted murder, fraud, and forgery. The news of his arrest spread quickly through the city's business circles. Many were shocked, but most were not. Rumors about his shady dealings had circulated for years. Olga received the news of Igor's arrest directly from Rogova. "Olga Viktorovna, I have good news," said the investigator over the phone. "Igor Vladimirovich has been arrested. He is currently in pre-trial detention. We have sufficient evidence to press charges." Olga felt an enormous weight lift from her shoulders. She breathed a long, deep sigh of relief. Justice had prevailed. After Igor's arrest, Olga felt free. She was no longer afraid. She no longer saw herself as a victim. She was ready to begin a new life. The divorce proceedings were complex and painful, but Olga held strong through every difficulty. She knew the truth and the law were on her side. Her lawyer, an experienced and skilled professional, did everything possible to protect her interests. During the trial, all evidence against Igor was presented. Medical reports, witness statements, security footage, and financial documents. The court found Igor guilty on all counts. He was sentenced to severe penalties. Olga obtained her divorce and regained full ownership of her assets. She was free. A few months after the divorce, Olga decided to change her life completely. She sold the shared apartment, which now only reminded her of betrayal and lies. She bought a small, cozy house in the countryside where she could finally enjoy peace and quiet. She returned to her favorite hobby, painting. Olga began attending art classes and soon started creating beautiful works of art. Painting helped her express her emotions and heal the wounds left by the past. She could feel her soul slowly mending. Olga started traveling. She visited many countries, explored new cities, and met fascinating people. Her travels broadened her horizons and helped her leave the past behind. One day, sitting in a small cafe overlooking a picturesque cityscape, Olga reflected on her life. She realized she had endured something devastating, yet had emerged stronger. She had learned to trust her intuition, to value herself, and to fight for her freedom. She no longer celebrated her wedding anniversary. Now, she celebrated the day she had taken back her life, the day she broke free from a toxic relationship and became a happy, independent woman. Looking out over the city stretching before her, she felt like the mistress of her own destiny. She smiled. A new life, full of opportunities and adventures, awaited her. Olga took out her phone and dialed Svetlana's number. "Svetlana, it's Olga," she said warmly. "I just wanted to thank you again for what you did for me. You saved my life." "There's no need to thank me, Olga," Svetlana replied. "I just couldn't stand by and do nothing. I'm glad everything turned out well." "I'm very happy too. Maybe we could have coffee sometime," Olga suggested. "With pleasure," Svetlana agreed. Olga hung up and smiled. She knew that many good things lay ahead. Her heart was full of hope and new plans. She rose from her seat and headed toward the cafe's exit, walking with a confident stride and her head held high. She was free. And speaking of new beginnings, if you're looking for a real, tangible way to reclaim your energy, your confidence, and your health, there's something incredible I want you to discover. Scientists have recently uncovered a mysterious purple peel that can naturally triple your fat burning, even while you sleep. Imagine awakening the best version of yourself effortlessly, without harsh diets or exhausting workouts. Curious? You'll find all the details waiting for you right now, quietly placed in the video description below. Go check it out. You won't want to miss the chance to unlock this simple, powerful transformation.